You want to say that one more time?
No.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to On the Rail with Techno Tosh. I have such a pleasure sitting here with Avira, which I can't believe because I remember when I DM'd him for the first time on Instagram and I was like, changed my world, changed my world. And I'm like, I remember I saw him at A State of Trance 2 years ago before they changed to Rotterdam location. And I'm like, dude, can you please play Change My World for me? And he's like, oh, I played it at the pre-party. I was like, damn. So I'm glad that I was able to catch him here in the Czech Republic at Beats for Love. So I know that we were talking a little bit behind closed doors, and I was asking him about a bunch of technical questions when it comes to the music industry and his production, and especially his sound. And I know that you were mentioning something about genres. I know that genres has been a topic of the moment because people want to really categorize artists into certain genres now, and subgenres have been becoming kind of, there's just more of them that exist. So what are you kind of moving forward into? I know that you said that you might be maybe creating your own new subgenre.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's kind of impossible to really make any kind of impact in music without having your own sound. At the end of the day, the only reason you're going to be listening to one particular artist is because they have like a really cool sound that you like. And if I sound exactly like someone else, then what am I really even doing, right? So yeah, I feel like now I'm really focusing on instead of saying like, oh, Avira sounds like this. No, it's Avira is Avira. And whatever kind of happens with it, that's what I love. And that's what I want to show to the world. And I think that kind of mindset lets me be more free and more creative. Instead of saying like, oh, I want to sound like whoever. It just doesn't work. You really need to be your own person. Without that, I feel like there's no point in doing this.
If I had to say, I would maybe categorize you somewhere in the melodic techno, kind of progressive house arenas, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that you said that you've been working on something that's coming out pretty soon. So is there anything that you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so I've been in talks with Armin van Buuren and SiriusXM. I don't know if you know, but Armin just started his own channel on SiriusXM. I'm going to start a brand new radio show exclusively on A State of Armin. That's the name of the channel. And it's going to be called The Sound Gallery. The idea for The Sound Gallery is just like how for me Avira is what I love, which is just whatever it is that I feel at the moment. I want the radio show to be a reflection of the music that I love at the moment. There's so many talented guys that are making unreal music that gets no recognition. And that for me, I mean, I was always the guy in that position. I mean, maybe my music wasn't good, but for me, I thought I was making good music and nothing was ever happening with it. I'm trying to create a place in the world for the kind of music that I think needs more attention. So it's not necessarily about like what's the hit records, what's whatever. No, it's really every single episode is kind of like a mini journey into all the undiscovered music out there that I think is a good reflection of what's really happening in the world, not just what's right in the front of the headlines.
And so actually coming from a radio background, what is it like for you to produce something like this, especially for SiriusXM?
Yeah. Honestly, for me, I've been a radio nerd since I was a little kid. Honestly, what got me into music was sitting down. I had this really old radio box. Like, honestly, all it did was radio. It has one knob and the dial, and I would plug it into my computer, and every night I would record radio stations from 5 till 7 or whatever it is, and I would just sit and listen and analyze and think about why does the radio sound that way, why does basically the whole way radio works I kind of absorbed subconsciously. It's always been a fascination of mine. I don't want to say it's easy for me to do, but it's kind of like my second love. If music is my first love, then radio is second.
That's awesome though, and that's what I love. Like every time that I talk to an artist on the show, I love seeing or hearing, and I'm sure that the audience does as well, kind of this transformation or the road, the journey that you're on and to the kind of this full circle moment that you have in certain things in your life, because every artist has a different one. So in your case, you're like, I really was obsessed with the radio thing, and then now it took how many years?
Oh my God, I have no idea. Yeah, I mean, I was 13 years old when I first started doing that. So you do the math.
So X amount of years, we won't disclose the age. But yeah, it's amazing to see, because I love when people can at least get motivated from artists like you, and especially you, which I feel like we can call you like a protege of Armin van Buuren. So I would love to know what it's like being in the spotlight in that sense, because you've been getting a lot of support from him, Armada. I know you did your first back-to-back with him not too long ago. So what does it feel like to be in that position? Is it something that you expected, or?
Honestly, it's really funny you say that, because I really don't see it in that way. Because I've actually discussed it with him personally. I said, like, I don't want to be you. Like, genuinely, I don't. I really want to be my own person. But he has believed in my music so much. We did the EP together, Hollow Mask Illusion. And so he was one of the first guys to really believe in my music. And I think it's honestly been incredible just to have his support, in the sense that he's helping me try to become my own person.
What is it like having, let's say, like a mentor in this sense? And is it something that maybe caught you by surprise, or how has the experience been? Like, how did you even get the exposure or get your name into his list or with the label? Like, what was that process like?
Well, in 2013, he played one of my tracks. I had a different alias back then.
What track and what name?
It's called Asaf Velorum. And it was definitely on the harder side. It was completely different from what I'm doing now. So he played that track for the first time on A State of Trance. And from that moment onwards, he kind of continued playing more and more of my music. In 2016, we actually signed a record label, which was called Black Sunset Music. That was me and Jeremy Van Kolar. We signed the record label to Armada, and we were partnered with them for a couple of years. At some point, I personally felt like I really wanted to change the direction of my music, and that's kind of what sparked Avira. First of all, the word Avira means spirit in Aramaic. I came from like a trancey background. Trance is not the music that I love right now. And I wanted to have the spirit of some of those little kind of touch of trance, but in a completely different way that more people were going to be receptive to. Maybe that only makes sense in my head. I don't know.
I highly doubt it.
But for whatever reason, Avira has kind of really resonated a lot more the way that I hoped it would. So I still feel like it's me making the music in the way that I love, but in a way that can help more and more people discover dance music. When I grew up, there was always this thing of like, oh, dance music is like for nerds, like whatever. It's not just like the most popular music that's like, oh, that's the only thing that's cool. No, dance music is cool as hell. You just need to kind of listen to it or maybe hear it in a new way, and then you go, oh, okay, I could be into this. And if you discover this whole world, I mean, right outside there's like, I don't know, 50,000 people that are enjoying the heck out of dance music. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little crazy.
I think everybody's a little bit crazy in this industry, but hopefully we all get along just fine just with that. What was it like playing in Brazil? Because I know that you were talking about this being a pretty epic moment for you.
So that was my first time in South America, period. And obviously, yeah, my first time in Brazil. The club is called AME, and honestly, that was probably one of the most memorable gigs of my life. The crowd is so open to new ideas, and I had a stack of IDs, like stuff that 2 days before I was just making in the studio. And it's cool to see a kind of more educated crowd be interested in the new stuff and not necessarily just like a hit list. It was incredible having the crowd all around me. It was a completely different feeling, and I feel like I want that now all the time.
Don't get spoiled. Don't take it for granted. No, that's awesome though. I'm glad to hear it, because it's nice to see again I mean, for me, and I know that you guys listening as well, it's like you're somebody that's in the industry that we know, it's a recognizable name, but of course, at the same time, you also still, anybody that has a pretty big name still has obstacles, just like any of the guys that are starting out, or girls, of course, starting out. So it's nice to see that, you know, everybody's going through that same process or same hustle. And I'm curious to know what it's like when you move and change from one name to another, one project to another. So changing to Avira, what was the impact for you? Because besides the name, why do you think that maybe you got more recognition for your sound with this project?
I don't even know if I can answer that question. I think it's my mindset that changed. And I think when you show everyone that mindset shift, they're thinking, oh, cool, like, let's go along with you. You know, maybe they were fans before, and then they hear that I'm kind of doing this new thing. Hopefully they like the music and they kind of follow along, right? So, yeah, it's more a mindset thing than it is anything else.
What changed in your mindset? I'm sure that, like, the evolution also has to do with, like, maturing in your career, I would think, because at 13 years old, you probably had some idea, some sound, some dream, and then when the years go by, I mean, and I know that for some people, it's like the minute that they change their project name, all of a sudden they pop off, and it's so crazy, and I'm sure it's refreshing for you as an artist to get that reaction from people, because you're like, I've been doing this for so long, and then all of a sudden they all come with a new name, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's human nature, I don't know what it is, but I think the idea of trying to make music that's slightly more appealing to more people, like, I'll tell you what, like, the music I was making was very much for one kind of listener. You know, very edgy, very hard, everything's so intense and in your face. And my mindset shift was, if my niece, you know, she's like, oh, that hurts, I don't like how that sounds, then I'm doing something wrong. I want to kind of soften the edges, make things a little bit more palatable, right? I think everyone will kind of respond to that.
No, it's interesting perspective, because I haven't been able to ask an artist this, and I know that a lot of artists, and maybe if you're not familiar, is a lot of artists start with one project and then switch to another. So it's cool to hear this, and especially for people that are up and coming or just starting their careers in the industry. I hope a fly did not go in my mouth. No, it's cool, because then I'm sure for people that are doing exactly what you're doing, it's hopeful at the same time too, because there's still a chance if you do something like this. And I know that this year, right, when you did your first back-to-back with Armin?
I've never done a back-to-back with Armin.
Toronto.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't so much back-to-back as it was, we kind of had this, like, understanding of, I'm going to do the 3-hour opening and then he's going to follow. So that was so cool, because it really helped me understand how to DJ better, how to read the crowd a little bit more. That experience, I think, really shaped who I am today.
Can you maybe go in a little, like, into depth a little bit when you say that, like, what was your perspective before and how did it change because of that moment?
Armin is like, so he's well known to a level that's like the extreme, right? And me being like a newer guy, it's kind of a mind game to, you know, play a 3-hour set opening for somebody who everyone can't wait for him to show up. So imagine if you're standing there for 3 hours, basically gatekeeping the guy that you really want to see. So it was so cool to learn how to navigate a crowd that basically wants you gone. And over time, it was more like, oh, no, you know, they are receptive. I can kind of shape the night towards where he's gonna go. And the more I learned, like, you know, the level that he plays at, the more I was able to kind of craft like a really cool experience. The first time that was honestly like mind-blowing was Wembley Stadium I played for 3 hours, and then Armin was the rest of the night. But you have to understand that Wembley Stadium is an iconic venue. And when I tell you I hit play, and not even 9 seconds later, there was like 5,000 people in front of me. I think that experience really changed things for me. And the London crowd is so in love with dance music that it kind of gave me the confidence to move forward and experiment and learn more.
I give you props too, because for even whether you had the confidence or not, you still jumped in and just took it, you know, because of course not everybody's given an opportunity like this, and I think that's super cool that you're like, let's just see how this goes, you know, and it obviously turned out super well for you. And of course, even being here in the Czech Republic, I was telling him earlier, because it's his first time here in the country, and I'm new to the country too, but I'm learning the scene. And it's interesting because a lot of the scene here is like more into drum and bass, hard techno, raw hypnotic, and his sound is not that. So I'm curious to know like your perspective when you jump into another city, another country, and you're playing your sound. Of course, you want to stay true to your sound, not completely change it just because of who's listening, but make people learn about your sound or what you do and what you play, and of course adapt new fans. So how is that, or adopt, not adapt, both. What is that experience like?
Honestly, I love playing in new places. Going in and hitting play on the first song and kind of seeing like, oh, they're kind of into this, or they know it, or they have no clue what the hell I'm playing. I love that because it's an opportunity again for like one more person to maybe discover you. That's the best I can hope for. Like one person goes home and thinks, oh, Avira, like what the heck's Avira? Let me look it up. And they like it. That's cool to me. So yeah, I don't worry too much. You know, obviously if the crowd is not feeling it at all, it's definitely like a little disturbing, and I can definitely navigate. All in all, I'm here. I wanna show them something that they've not heard before, because like I said in the beginning, what the heck's the point if I'm not doing something new? And
I love that too. And I know that kind of just to wrap up everything, when it came to your gig recently in Brazil, and then we were talking about A State of Trance, that was my first time getting to see him play live, and it was such an amazing time. It was 2 years ago before they moved to Rotterdam. And what is it like playing for 40,000 people? And then of course moving to another city and playing for A State of Trance and having this massive crowd. Of course, like you said, in Brazil, it was the first time that he had like a bunch of people behind him. I'm not sure if the video is online or not for people to see the set, but
I'm actually gonna be posting the set soon.
I will share the link with you guys, don't worry, but just for you guys to see. But what is it like playing for this many people? And then how do you kind of, again, stay true to yourself, stay humble when you have so much of this progression in, at least when it comes to this project, in a short amount of time?
The bigger crowds, it's because there's kind of like a lot more production going on behind the scenes. I feel like that's more of like a showcase set. Whereas, you know, in like an intimate club setting, you can kind of do whatever you want. Just kind of like feel what's happening and go from there. I honestly wish that all massive festivals would start putting the DJ smack in the middle of the crowd instead of all the way over there, you know? It makes the DJ experience a lot more real. I think every DJ on earth will tell you they'd rather play to an actual crowd, not to people all the way over there.
And people online.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Because I watched the live stream this year.
Yeah. Well, here's my petition to put DJ booths in the middle of the festival crowd.
So what else can we expect from you, Avira, for the rest of 2024?
There's a couple of IDs that I've been like teasing around for way too long. I've been lucky to be on the road, to play them, to kind of tweak them every single time and see how the crowd reacts. I'm going to be putting out a bunch more music. Yeah, look out for the sound gallery on A State of Armin on SiriusXM.
Dude, that's amazing. I just learned this right now, so that's super exciting. I'm super proud of you, and that's a really amazing accomplishment, especially, again, coming from listening to the radio at 13 years old till now. So it's really cool to see your journey so far, and we're really excited for all the new things to come.
Thanks. I'm just as excited.